welcome to the 10-12 Big 12 Special Teams Show, recapping Week 3. Here on YouTube every week, we look back at some of the biggest special teams plays in the Big 12 Conference from the week that was. I don't do this alone because I am not a special team specialist, so I'm very excited to have with us today the current career punting average record holder, 44.8 yards per punt from Kansas State, Devin Anctil, joining us. Devin, welcome to the show, man.
Hey, thanks, Phil, for having me out. I think it's gonna be really cool. Someone's finally doing something like this.
That's every guest now has kind of said, like, I'm excited people are talking about special teams. I think it's fun. Like, obviously, I think between offensive line and special teams, the two biggest groups that just don't get enough appreciation. It's very much the, like, we love you when you're good and we hate you when you're bad, and we don't care much in between. And I'm like, yo, there's so much that goes into this. And so an opportunity to educate myself and fans about what all actually is involved in special teams, from kicking and punting and returning punts and playing defense. It's just, I think it's really interesting. And I think it's fun to get to learn a little bit more about this just for myself. You, as a former punter and holder for Kansas State, you've spent some time in the Canadian Football League as well, but you're also running Punt 21. Tell us a little bit about that and what you're doing with special teams now.
Yeah, so I started Punt 21 3 years ago, well, 3.5 years ago. And kind of just right after COVID hit. I was planning on trying to play at the next level in the NFL or any other sports leagues too. And I was needing some work to be able to do while I was still training at that time too. And I had one kid reach out to me on Instagram saying, "Hey, would you come work with me? I really want to learn more about punting and kicking." And I started working with him, and then it kind of just went from all over from there in the state of Kansas, where it turned from one kid. Now I train close to 100 kids here in Kansas, which is amazing that there's so many kickers, punters, and snappers out there wanting to get better, and they see it as a way to kind of play at the next level in college too. There's got a lot of borderline players that for like a tight end position, quarterback position, other skilled positions, and they're like, well, maybe I could pick up kicking or snapping, and that will get me to a spot at a Division I or somewhere in college.
Hey, you got to look for any opportunity you can get. And so if that means just being the holder or the snapper, take it. It's a scholarship. It's a scholarship. Doesn't matter what position you're on the team.
Exactly.
Any opportunity to make it is awesome. Well, that's awesome. Today we are going to recap, as usual, some of the biggest plays from last weekend. I've got them all lined up. I mean, we have to start with, I think, the biggest one from last weekend. It's the one that is, I guess, the most controversial. Iowa State, what was called a missed field goal against Ohio. We're going to play the clip. I want you to watch it. I want your opinion on this one as we do. Sorry, this is always a work in progress. I swear I need a producer who can pull this stuff up while I'm talking so that, I don't have to multitask. I need your opinion on this one. Lines up. Feels like it might be good. They say no. It looks like that goes over the upright. From photos we've seen, it looks like it's up over the upright. Devin, what's your opinion here on this kick? Do you think here we can watch it from this angle?
And
Man,
this is this angle right there, the underneath angle, and that person that referee that's under the right upright. It looks like he has a clear view of it going inside of the upright. And the rule is, if I'm not mistaken, that if it goes over the post, that is considered a good considered as a made field goal attempt. And it obviously either goes straight over the post or it goes inside. So definitely a controversial type field goal right there. But at the end of the day, too, you can also be better as a kicker and kick it more down the middle and not make it that close too. So
yeah, it's wild to me. It looks good. Like it is definitely. I understand Iowa State fans' opinions. Like, that should have been called good. We should have had 3 points, and that could have led up to us tying the game, taking this game to overtime, and potentially winning. Now, I always look at it and say, like, well, if you had made that, there's no guarantee you get to the touchdown drive later because you're still down a full score. But I mean, I think we agreed that was a bad call. Iowa State, of course, went on to lose that game. Contro's had a little bit of a struggle so far for this season. I don't think Iowa State's always put him in the best positions, and asks a lot of him. I mean, from a kicking standpoint, I know that you were a punter, but in that spot, I mean, what kind of what's the mentality for him after something like that, where you feel good? That should have been a make, but they
Right.
call it no. I mean, he wasn't called back out to kick another one. He'd had another miss earlier in the game already. Like, what's his mentality sitting at right now after two misses and one that should have been good?
Sure. Well, I'm sure right now he's kind of feeling down on himself too. And as a kicker, you got to be able to remember the good ones and think about the bad ones, but flush it out really quick. Short-term memory is what you got to have. You're relied on to do your job during the game, and you only get so many opportunities during the game. And when you don't get to capitalize on that one opportunity that you had, you obviously we're all humans, and when you don't do good at something, you feel really down on yourself. It's more important though as a kicker that you kind of just give yourself a lot of self-talk, self-motivation, because kicking is truly a mental game, kind of like golf too. And maybe if you ever been on the golf course, if I know I have, whenever I shank two straight drives in a row, I get into my head. Same thing as a kicker right there too. That you have two straight misses in a row, it gets in your head a little bit. So it'd be good to see him bounce back next week. I'm sure he will. But it'll be good for him to have a good support team around him to be able to pick him up.
And what's expected to be a low-scoring game between Oklahoma State and Iowa State this coming Saturday, field goal kicking might be the thing that determines the outcome. Okay, we've got to talk about this one. I'm sorry, Kansas State fans, but when
No.
somebody kicks a game-winning SEC record field goal against a Big 12 team, like, we're going to have to talk about it for a second. So obviously, we're going to share this one that the Missouri kicker made to win the game at the end of the game. I mean, this is crazy. Missouri actually had a penalty that backed them up before this kick. That's 61 yards, and it still had room to go. That is an incredible kick. Like, again, I'm sorry for Kansas State fans. Like, I don't want to bring up bad memories here, but like, that is an incredible kick to set an SEC record with a 61 yarder. That is I mean, looking at that, that's as clean as I feel like you could ask for in a situation like this.
That was probably his cleanest ball he's probably ever hit in his whole career, to be honest. Because the one earlier that he had that I believe was the 54-yarder that missed off to the left. Or was it a 54? It might have been the high 40s. Anyways, he missed it off to the left. He hit it high off his foot, and he just didn't get the cleanest contact on the ball. And this kick right here, he absolutely striped the ball. And I mean, you can't be too mad about how to lose a game like that. I mean, as a K-State fan, you really had everything go right in that final 30, 40 seconds of the game when Mizzou, for some reason, just had no idea that they had to clock the ball to be able to go on to the next play. They didn't have any timeouts left to stop the clock. Their coach looks like an idiot because they took a delay of game right there, and the kicker basically saves that game for them. And probably that coach's job too, honestly.
Yeah, we can kind of drink which you said when you were talking about it. You said it hit the stripe.
Yeah, he just striped the ball right off his foot. So like, yeah, the ball was just perfectly hit off of his foot. Like I kind of relate to golf too. Like when you hit like that beautiful drive that goes straight down the middle, it feels really good off the club head. The same thing happened right there with Mevis right there. He just beautifully right off the foot. Ball stayed straight the whole time. It kind of tailed off at the end to the right, but I'm sure that's just because of where he was aiming at onto the for his kick. But I mean, it was just a good ball, and you can't be mad about losing a game off a 61-yard field goal, because you only see that in the pros. You don't see that at the college level, really. So
I mean, you can be mad, but you can give him his props for hitting a field goal like that as cleanly as he possibly could.
Yeah,
that's absolutely nuts. Another disappointing moment in what I would call a rivalry game in the Big 12, that of course being Cincinnati and Miami of Ohio. This game went into overtime where Cincinnati lost, but Cincinnati had a shot with 19 seconds left in the game to kick a 36 or 35-yarder to win this game. This field goal is going to get blocked. I want you to kind of walk me through what you see here as far as what did Cincinnati do wrong here that allowed Miami of Ohio to get this block kick. I mean, this is a game winner. They should have been able to make this. It looks like he was going to hit this straight and clean, and yet Miami of Ohio comes right around and takes care of this one without any real trouble. I mean, that's got to be really disappointing as a Cincinnati fan. Like, you this is a rivalry game that you should not lose. He
Yeah.
came around clean with no
Yeah,
problem.
if you look at the right wing, number 88 of Cincinnati, he's supposed to use his right arm to be able to uh, kind of knock off the guy on the far outside edge that's coming off the edge. Instead, he just falls down super hard. He never really got out a hand to change the path of that guy coming off the edge. And as a wing guy, and one of my best friends, he was the right wing for us at K State. Is his number one? Obviously, you want to take the inside threat, but you can't forget about the outside threat too. And he was always told, make sure you get inside, but leave a hand on the outside. And if you grab them and fall down with them, we'll take that other than taking a blocked kick, because we'd rather re-kick it than have the kick blocked and not have an opportunity to try to win the game in this spot right here. This was for the game. And that's a big blunder on Cincinnati's part right there on their field goal unit.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't have the arm out. I mean, the defender came around clean as could be, straight line to the ball. I mean, that big whiff. That's something they're going to be definitely practicing this week. I feel bad for him. I really, really do. Big 12 special teams player of the week. We're going to talk about this one is Matthew Golden of Houston. Had a 98-yard kickoff return for a touchdown against TCU. It was Houston's only touchdown in this game. Houston did not have an offensive touchdown. We got to play it. I got to hear your thoughts on this return. 98 yards. I mean, this is outside of game-winning field goals. I think this is the most electrifying thing you can do. I mean, it's not even like he went untouched.
No.
To break off blockers in that way, his guys do enough the rest of the way, the speed to make it and just beat the defender and make it all the way in. I mean, that is a heck of a run by Matthew Golden. I mean, just incredible. I mean, what do you see here from him that leads to this kick all the way? So I got to find the starting point here.
The biggest
so I need
thing
a producer.
at the very beginning is the TCU kicker. He kicks it into the left corner of the field, which that's where I'm sure they were going, was deep left. And they covered it really good, but the Houston returner was just able to make plays right there and be able to break it away and just kind of use his skill set and his speed to really open up the game right there. Well, not even open it up, just to get on the board. And as like you said, that was their only touchdown of the whole game. So this is a really good part by him, and that's, you put your fastest guy back there for these situations right there.
Yeah, this is just an absolute. You have him dead to rights, and don't wrap up and finish that tackle. He should have been down right there at about the 30. Instead, breakaway, 3 guys trying to chase him down. You can see he turns on the burners right there to get himself into the end zone. That's an absolutely incredible run by Matthew Golden. I mean, didn't matter in the end for Houston, but special teams player of the week for a reason.
Yep. And at the end too, that TCU kicker, he's got to make that tackle right there. He's got to figure out a way, because he's the last line of defense right there. And usually if he can get that returner gets past the kicker, all bets are off right there on trying to get that guy down.
Devin, I have to ask, during your career at Kansas State, did you have to be the final guy to stop a return at any point while you were at Kansas State?
One time, my whole career, I had to make one tackle. It was the Iowa State game in 2019. It was senior day in Manhattan, and I kicked the far ball. It was a 60+ yard punt. I definitely not punted my coverage, and all of our guys were just out of the lanes, and I could just see this big hole opening up. And I was like, well, it's just me and the returner. And I thought the returner was going to try and go laterally on me, but he tried to run me over, and I was able to stand him up and be able to prevent the touchdown. Because if I didn't tackle him, it was going to be a touchdown by far.
Hey, it's another great opportunity for a kicker to make a name for himself when you get the guy before he can make it all the way back. I want to talk about this one. Oklahoma State heading into the week had, according to PFF, the number 1 ranked special teams in the country. It's at number 2 now in the country, so still good, but a very disappointing moment for Oklahoma State, and what was easily a very disappointing game. I mean, obviously this didn't affect the outcome in the end, but to have a drop punt when you're trying to do anything you can to mount some sort of comeback is huge. So I want your thoughts here on what kind of happened. I mean, it doesn't seem like we're in a spot here where he was focused on what was coming, but I mean, just flat out drop that ball.
Yeah. Well, there's a couple of things here. Bill, one is that the punter for South Alabama is a lefty, so it's a different type of spin you're going to get on the spiral coming off the foot. And then another thing too is it looked like that South Alabama punter, he didn't catch it clean off his foot. And you normally with a left-footed punter, the ball is going to start straight and it's going to bend off to the left or to the right of the returner when he's looking at it. At this time, since he didn't hit it clean off his foot, it actually did a reverse spiral, and the spiral wasn't turning over. It was actually shooting down to the ground much faster than what he anticipated. And you can see how he tried to run up at the very, well, not even run up at the very end, just it kind of the ball just died on him, and he should have ran up on it at the very end for him to be able to give himself a better chance of getting that ball instead of just dropping it.
So basically what you're saying is what was essentially a bad kick actually worked out in South Alabama's favor by making it more difficult to catch. Now, so then my question becomes like, it was a bad kick, or was it?
Right, yeah.
What is it? What you being a former punter and current punter, like what's a good punt? Like what should that look like if we're watching on TV?
So a good punt should be directionally sound with a good spiral, or if you're doing an end over end kick, a good end over end type rotation on the ball. In this instance, he had the location right, which the punter is always happy. If you get the location right, that's a win right there. But then the extra bonus is getting that spiral to fall off in the right direction that's supposed to. Now, in this case, it ended up working, but usually when you don't get the correct spiral on the ball, you're not getting hang time and you're not getting the right distance on the ball either. At this, with that punt right there, it looked like it was about a 40-yard punt right there. It looked like probably also it was a lower hang time ball, but that reverse spiral caused a fumble on the play because the returner didn't react to the spiral like he should have. So a lot of things go into the mind of a punter with what makes a good punt. But if you're directionally sound on your punt, then that's a win right there, because that's all the coach really matters is he wants it in that location because that's where all the coverage is going to.
When practicing special teams, how often do you do the returnman practice maybe catching a bad punt, or are you working with the punter who's always trying to hit it correctly?
So at K-State, before practice, all the specialists would go out before practice. We have the whole field to ourselves. So we do a lot of punting, kicking, field goals, kickoffs, and probably about 10 minutes before practice, some of the returners would come out, and the returners would catch some of our footballs. And then during practice too, during special teams period, if it's a punt day or a punt return day, we're on the side. Either we're punting it or we're shooting footballs to the jugs machines to the returners, and the return coach is usually telling us punters if we're punting to return to the returners, they're usually asking us, hey, have some different types of punts, maybe have some miss hits, have some good hits, just so they can get different looks right there. And in today's world of football, special teams right now, they're like with all the rules changes, they're really trying to not make special teams as important as what it is. So in the result of that, a lot of coaches aren't doing as much special teams during practice as what they probably should be. I don't know if that's the case with Oklahoma State, but I know at K-State, we've always valued special teams, and that's something that will probably never change, even though we've changed head coaches. When they still both value special teams probably the same amount.
It's no, it's just things I don't even think to ask until a conversation like this occurs. So that's fantastic insight. For our national play of the week this week, we were going to go with the Maryland return versus Virginia. However, you have a former student who was a Kansas kicker who is now transferred over to Montana. He had a 49-yard field goal earlier this season. So that's what we're going to play. Just want to give you an opportunity to kind of, I guess, plug Punt 21 again, and also talk about your guy here, Grant Gaslow, who had a fantastic 49-yard field goal for Montana. And let you just kind of talk, like, let's hear your thoughts. Oh, they didn't actually start playing.
First career field goal
go.
too, in a game too, and it's a 49-yarder. This is first ever kick in an actual game. And he got the distance on it, and I remember talking to him about it. It barely just got in because he was so overamped. He really got a hold of this ball, and you see just barely going into the left side of the uprights. And I mean, yeah, he was pumped up after that too. He had worked really hard to get to KU when he was in high school. He decided to start kicking his senior year of high school. He quit soccer. It was an all-state goalkeeper, and he decided, I want to play football in college. And when he was in high school, he went 12 for 13 his his first ever year of ever kicking footballs, and that led him to be able to go to KU. Didn't work out at KU. They had a lot of kickers there, and he just decided to enter the transfer portal, and now he's in the great state of Montana, and they love football up there. They also have a really cool stadium too. And I've been told by him that it's one of the coolest stadiums that he'll probably ever play in his whole entire life.
That's awesome. Yeah. So you said, got over amped. I mean, how much of kicking is just staying even keel? How much,
Oh,
like we've talked about the emotions of like afterwards having to kind of get your head back in the right space, but like
uh-huh.
during the actual act, like I don't think people realize how much mentally actually goes into kicking effectively.
Right. Yeah. It's just like it's really all it is being under control with your breathing patterns and staying focused on what you want to get accomplished. So like with field goals, you got to worry about the snap to the hold, okay? And you got to trust that that snapper is going to snap perfect laces to the holder, and then that holder is going to put that ball down at the right location with the laces going forward too. So you're in the back of your mind, you're like, okay, I trust those. I've done so much reps with those two guys right there that they're going to have their job done. And all it is on me is to make sure I hit this ball cleanly off my foot through those uprights. And that's a lot of pressure right there because you got a lot of different variables right there with the limited amount of opportunities you have, with also too everyone watching you on that one play. So it's just all about trying to keep yourself calm, and all that training that you've done in the off season and even during the week of practice, all the reps that you've done as a unit together all comes to fruition, and you're able to just be able to go bang the ball through the uprights and put points up on the board for you guys.
Devin, man, this was fantastic. I appreciate your insight and your time. Cannot wait to have you back on again. I think this was a lot of fun. Do me a favor, if anybody wants to learn more about Punt 21 and what you're doing right now, where can they find all that information?
Yeah, sure. So I have a website. It's www.punt21kickingservices.com. And then also we have Twitter and Instagram. They're both the same username. It's just at punt_21 is what it is. Pretty simple. You'll be able to find it. It's just the logo of a punter punting the ball with punt 21 on the punter punting the ball. And yeah, give us a follow. We'd love to be able to help you whatever you want to do. If you are aspiring kicker, punter, or snapper, and you're in high school and you want to play at the next level, we have the tools to be able to help you get there. It's not just we work on fundamentals. We try to prepare you at the mental side of it and off the field too, type stuff to be able to make you more successful with your time, and how to kind of just prepare for everything in life with being a student athlete. So thank you for asking me about that too.
Absolutely, man. And again, appreciate your time. Can't wait to have you back on. I think this was great. Love doing this, and I think you had some really great insight and expertise to offer up today.
Yeah, no, it was a good time. I'm glad I was able to offer up some stuff right there. And also, go Cats.